Okay, so good day, history buffs, history lovers. Welcome to a new episode of History by Bike. And well, for our episode today, we will not be going to a biking expedition, but instead, we'll just stay here and we will be talking about an incident that happened during Second World War in the Philippines. So this is the Koga Papers. So before we proceed, just hit that like and subscribe button, and yeah, for our new episode, we will be talking about the Koga Papers. For this topic, we will be discussing about the Koga Papers, or otherwise known as the Z Plan by the Americans, and also as the Otsu incident in Japan. But this particular event actually originated way out in the Philippine Sea, in the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Koga departed from the Palaus and he decided to go to Davao, and he boarded a large Japanese float plane. There were three, and only one of them reached Davao. The one he was on crashed off Cebu.
The Z Plan was the Japanese plan of attack in the case of an American invasion into the Central Pacific Ocean. The plan was the final attempt by the Japanese to bring about the Kantay-Kesen, the decisive battle that would be the avenue of victory for Japan. The capture of these plans were an important military intelligence achievement in the Pacific War. The Z Plan was developed under the leadership of Admiral Mineichi Koga, Commander-in-Chief of the Japanese Combined Fleet, and was approved by the Imperial Japanese Navy General Staff. The plan was formally titled Combined Fleet Secret Operations Order Number 73, with the final version issued on March 8, 1944. On April 1, en route to Davao, Admiral Koga's plane crashed into the ocean during a bad storm, killing Koga and everyone else aboard. Admiral Koga's Chief of Staff, Rear Admiral Shigeru Fukudome, carrying a copy of the Z Plan, was traveling the same itinerary in a separate plane. This second plane crashed near Cebu Island after attempting to avoid the same storm. Fukudome and 9 others eventually made it to shore when they were captured by local Filipino guerrillas who were supportive of the US forces.
So we've now reached the part wherein the Japanese were actually picked up by the guerrillas, and well, they were handed over actually to the Cebu area command leader, who is an American by the name of Jim Cushing. So they turned him over, the survivors were turned over to Jim Cushing, and they were in his custody for quite a while.
After extricating himself from the wreckage, he was able to locate land and began to swim ashore. During this portion of the ordeal, he maintained control of the briefcase that contained the top-secret documents concerning Operation Z. After spending hours in the ocean, all the while approaching the coastline, he was spotted by some Filipino fishermen. Not sure if they were friendly or rebels, Fukudome released the briefcase with the intention of allowing it to sink. However, as he was picked up, the local fishermen noticed the slowly sinking briefcase and brought it aboard. Upon reaching land, the documents were sent to the American forces for analysis. Because of the loss of the two planes, with their high-level occupants and important documents, Japanese ocean current experts believe documents will eventually wash up on shore. The Japanese applied intensive pressure on the local population. The box contained the Z plan, a bound document in red leather portfolio with a Z on the cover. The documents eventually made it to the hands of the local guerrilla organization, the Cebu Area Command, under Lieutenant Colonel James M. Cushing. The ornate nature of the documents led the CAC and their American handlers to suspect the documents were very important, a suspicion that was later reinforced by Japan's offer of a large reward for the return of any documents. A clandestine high-priority submarine pickup was arranged, with a cover story of evacuating American refugees. The submarine picked up the documents, along with 40 American men, women, and children. Traveling mostly on the surface for speed and diving only when needed, the submarine survived depth charging twice, arriving near the American naval base in Darwin, Australia on May 19. From there, the documents were flown to Brisbane. The Z-plan documents were in plain text rather than code, and were translated on an urgent basis by the top 5 translators at the Military Intelligence Service attached to the Allied Translator and Interpreter section. It was first translated by Yoshikazu Yamada and George Sankei Yamashiro, 2 Nisei translators. Copies of the translation were rushed to General Douglas MacArthur, who quickly forwarded them to Admiral Chester Nimitz, Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, and Admiral Koga's counterpart. Among other things, planned Japanese diversionary tactics were now anticipated by the Americans, leading to the lopsided American victory in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the largest aircraft carrier battle in history and one of the decisive battles of the Pacific War. After resting for a month after returning to Japan, Fukudome was appointed in June 1944 as the Commander-in-Chief of the 2nd Air Fleet and served in that capacity until January 1945, at which time he became Commander-in-Chief of the 10th Area Fleet. He survived the war. Cushing, leading his Cebu guerrillas, also survived the war. On February 1, 1945, ATIS informed Willoughby that the Z-Plan story had been released to the press and that the plan was probably one of the most important documents captured in SWPA to date. How important knowledge of the Japanese strategy was to the American victory at the Battle of the Philippine Sea is impossible to answer. However, historians acknowledge that the exploitation of the Z-Plan was one of the greatest single intelligence feats of the war in the Southwest Pacific area.
Alright, so I guess that will be the end of our episode for History by Bike. And I hope that you liked the topic that we discussed today, which is about the Koga Papers. And this is one of the significant events actually that happened during World War II in the Philippines. So again, thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And this is History by Bike, and I'm saying goodbye for now, and see you on our next episode.